Hey there, I'm Megan Coleman, certified professional dog trainer and owner of Train Your Dog. Thanks so much for joining me in the first workshop in the Intro to Positive Reinforcement Dog Training series. Today we'll talk about some key concepts and vocabulary. The first word you'll need to be familiar with is the word cue. A cue is the word or signal that is given before a specific behavior. The cue could be verbal, like saying sit or down, or a hand signal. The environment or your body language could also be a cue. You may be wondering why we're not using the word command. Rather than commanding, I like to think of a cue as asking for a behavior, not telling the dog it has to perform a behavior. Choice is not only empowering for humans, but for our canine companions as well. Markers are a sound or word used to communicate to your dog the exact moment they performed the goal behavior. Many trainers use a clicker, a small plastic box that makes a consistent click noise. You can also use a verbal marker like yes, good, nice, or really any other word. You could honestly say banana as long as you use it consistently. I recommend picking a marker that is short and concise. For example, saying good rather than good girl. Dogs have no problem learning more than one marker. I often use a clicker for training my personal dog, but also use the word yes when I don't have a clicker handy. Timing is key when using a marker. I like to think of it as taking a picture of the behavior you want to see. If you were teaching a sit, you would mark the moment your dog's hind end hits the ground. So your picture would be of your dog sitting, not the moment before or after they sit. Perfecting your timing can take patience, so don't stress if you're not a pro at it immediately. After marking your goal behavior, you'll need to follow it up with a reward or reinforcement. Reinforcement is anything your dog finds enjoyable. Think of the reward as the currency your dog is working for. If I get paid well, I work hard. Dogs are no different. Food and toys are common reinforcers, but you can use other creative and enjoyable activities to reinforce your dog. A favorite creative reinforcer of mine is running. I often use it in recall training. Ask your dog to come, then take off running and let them chase after you. You can also use sniffing, chasing a squirrel, or really anything your dog enjoys as a reinforcer. The key is to gauge if the reward is truly reinforcing to your dog. If your dog's eyes light up and their body wiggles when you present the reinforcement, you've probably picked an ideal reward. On the other hand, if they seem indifferent, you might want to try something more valuable to your dog. Remember, only the learner can decide what's reinforcing to them. Now let's talk about how we get our dogs to perform specific behaviors. Luring is the most common method to use when you're getting started with training. A lure is a treat or toy that your dog will physically follow to encourage a specific behavior or position. Let's say you're teaching your dog to jump through a hoop. You could toss a toy through the hoop for your dog to chase or use a treat in hand for them to follow. You'll want to quickly fade the use of the lure and replace with a cue. I usually start by doing the same motion with my hand, but simply omitting the treat or toy. You can then make your hand gesture smaller and smaller until you have a simple hand signal.
Beautiful.
You'll also want to name the behavior by adding a verbal cue.
Very nice.
Another method for training new behaviors is shaping. Shaping is breaking down a specific behavior into tiny increments and marking and rewarding each increment until the goal behavior is achieved. Remember the hot and cold game you played as a kid? Shaping is a little like that. You can communicate with your dog that they are getting closer to the goal behavior and slowly raise your criteria. In this clip, I'm shaping the behavior of going through the hoop using a hand target. I start with my palm away from the hoop, then slowly increase the criteria to encourage Tolly to put her head into the hoop. You'll notice that I go at Tolly's pace and move my hand closer when she is hesitant. With patience and practice, Tolly became more comfortable with this behavior. Lastly, let's talk about capturing. Capturing is marking and rewarding when your dog is independently performing or offering the behavior you would like to achieve. This opens up a whole world of opportunity to communicate with your dog what behaviors earn rewards. Let's say you're busy working and your dog politely goes and lies down. You can then mark and reward that behavior. Your dog will be more likely to repeat that behavior in the future. Here's your training assignment. Pick your marker word or sound and catch your dog doing something good. Portion out 20 or more treats to reward your dog with throughout one day. Each time you see a desirable behavior that your dog is offering, mark and reward. See you next week and happy training.